Previously on Destiny.
Hear me, dead things. I let this moment pass unnamed, without song. This is the rejection of your sad legacy. Xivu Arath, agitator, fomenter, what a world cyst you have built from your conquests. No more. Now and forever, you are banished. Hayat.
Perhaps there is more to her than meets the eye. Since the beginning, Xivu had always been personified as the last sister, the ill-fated sister, the spoiled child, avatar of war, blade breaker, agitator, fomenter. As the stories of an ancient past, the youngest Hive sister had always been in pursuit of whatever victim benefit the cause of the sword logic. But perhaps that is an allegory after all. Welcome back, Guardians. My name is Samlab. Today let's talk about Xivu Arath and her current status. As some of you know, during Season of the Witch, Eris Morn was able to undo the Hive God through clever cunning. You might say almost as clever as Savathûn. And yet the question still remains whether this course of action was a contingency the Witch Queen had accounted for. Hopefully, some light will be shed on this as we move forward in the story. However, I would like to bring to your attention a very curious conversation between Ikora and Eris Morn during the Savathûn Spire Ascent mission. Have a listen.
My Hidden are looking for Xivu Arath, but apart from lingering Wrathborn, it seems she's gone to ground.
That was enough for Savathûn. She used us to continue an age-old game between her and her sister.
And we played into her hands.
Yes, but we have what we need, and Xivu Arath's position is weakened. That must be enough for us as well.
Eris is referring to the eternal battle that Oryx, Savathûn and Xivu Arath would enact in order to grow in their power. Regularly each sibling would pit against one another. This would lead to the way of the sword logic and the refinement toward the final edge. Needless to say, having to level up after being taken down a peg isn't something that Xivu is afraid of in the least. The Hive have always operated with a high level of intelligence, and with a master strategist like the God of War, you'd better believe she has learned a lot after watching her elder siblings. One of the exciting aspects of this development is the direct parallel can be drawn between Xivu Arath and Eris Morn. For a brief moment, a lonely guardian became part of a family again, a fire team. And we all know how Bungie loves their fire teams of 3. More so is that Eris seems to detest being returned to a titheless transformation. Have a listen to this next audio log.
Eris, how are you feeling?
To lose the tithes. I was a god, Ikora. I no longer understand myself as I once did. There was something lost, but also dearly gained. But mostly, I am tired. Perhaps I will rest.
How?
With tea. And books.
That sounds perfect. I think I'll join you.
It's clear that she's battling with lingering cravings for her Hive morph, and quite literally describes what is a bitter-sweet moment for Eris. but subtly desires the ascension of power she once had. There is no doubt that this is something Xivu Arath will relate to. Being banished from a throne world doesn't mean Hive become powerless. Weaker, yes, but unable to fend for themselves, no. This is a dangerous part, and something I think Eris Morn and the Vanguard are going to need to watch out for. Xivu won't only be determined to seek revenge for her siblings, but also for herself. Have a listen to this audio log from Ikora Ray.
What's that washed-up worm doing now?
If you mean Asa, she went back into hibernation. Sloane is monitoring her. There's been no sign of any lingering effects since her pact with Eris concluded. Why? I know you're not concerned for her.
Gotta keep tabs on her. Queen's orders.
You don't know why, do you?
It's need to know. Whatever Savathun's planning for Asa, it's better than what Xivu wants to do to her. Let's leave it at that.
This is actually huge, due to the fact that this is the first time we will ever hear the Witch Queen's name mentioned in conjunction with Asa. Confused? Okay, let's go back in time for a moment. Asa is one of the few surviving Leviathan, a proto-species which existed on Fundament, a hodgepodge planetoid, made up of multiple planets combined. The Leviathan later became worm gods after accepting a deal from a dark power of the Witness, through Rolk, disciple of the Witness. And you can see one of the first of these ancient worm gods within Rolk's pyramid ship in Savathun's throne world. The deal would send the Leviathan into a feeding frenzy, where they would feed on one another. Asa is one of the last remaining Leviathan who, after having defeated her siblings, fled via the Ascendant Plains to the methane seas of Titan during the Golden Age. Now, in order for Eris Morn to gather tribute and assume her Hive morph, two things were needed to make this happen. One was gaining access to the Hive worm. Some of you may have noticed that the very artifact we use this season is in fact a replica of the one Eris Morn asks your guardian to hold before her ascension into godhood. The second is during her ritual. Eris called on the names of the worm gods in order to gain access to the very same bargain Orash, Sathona, and Zero took to later assume their morphs. To do this, Eris invoked the names of all the worm gods, past, present. The names uttered were Akar, Zeta, Sel, Aura, and Lace. By calling on them, it allowed her to don the morph of vengeance. This began the campaign of Eris Morn's vengeance. Have a listen to this next audio log.
Eris, your ritual called on the Hive worm gods, and there were some I didn't recognize.
Not all are Hive. Sel, Aura, Lace. They were Asa's sisters, dead or lost. She whispered their names to me, and I invoked them alongside the worm gods, both slain and living.
I see. Asa is one of our greatest allies. I just hope she finds time to rest.
Here is where it really gets interesting. Torobatl, the Cabal homeworld, was also home to the Athenaeum worlds. These are massive planetary repositories of knowledge and technology. Lore states that these vaults contained technology of terrifying potential, a lot of which belonged to species long conquered or assimilated into the Cabal Empire. This includes sentient anomalies, thought-powered reality smashers, and portable world enders. Sadly though, Torobatl was lost when Xivu Arath's Hive were sent to attack and claim the planet, forcing the Cabal to admit defeat and flee their home. Guardians, this is a very big deal. Now that we know Xivu Arath has become weakened, albeit only banished from her throne world and not destroyed, that doesn't mean she doesn't have other plans in place. Here's where we enter speculative territory. If Xivu Arath was to return to Torobottle's Anatheum world vaults and procure something powerful, capable of bringing ruin not just to humanity, but entire worlds, then this would potentially be a problem. These worldwide vaults may even contain something which enables her to once again take Godhold and rival any of Savathun's contingencies. This level of threat potentially puts Xivu Arath in a category as significant as that of the Vex, or worse, even the Witness itself. Sure, the Witness could be removed, and the sacrifice of light, but to what end? Have a listen to this audio log from Imaru and Ikora.
Good job, Guardian.
Yeah. Pat yourselves on the back. Savathun saw all this coming and laid out her plan on a platter for you. All you did was follow it.
Savathun gambles in possibilities, not certainties. Predictions are only as accurate as hindsight makes them. We could have failed. What Savathun did was an act of faith.
Learning that Xivu Arath had a plan for Asa is quite interesting. According to Hive legend, we already know that Xivu Arath had a problem with the Ahamkara and their level of power. It would make sense that learning a Leviathan like Asa had still existed in connection with the light would be both troubling and infuriating for the Hive sibling. We already knew a future expansion exists that will feature the Hive in a big way after the final shape. But of what? And given the state that Xivu Arath is probably in, I wouldn't be surprised if she employed her own contingency, or did something equally heretical as Savathun becoming a guardian. Though the weight of trouble bears down upon us, look to the hills, Guardian, for that is where our help comes from. For now, that's all I have for you. If you enjoyed this video and found it useful, be sure to leave a like, and click the bell and subscribe to find out when my next lore video goes live. Remember that no matter what you're facing at this moment in time, you can do all things. Stay safe and Godspeed.